Hi, this is Esther with Discover Your Origins. This is a Research with Me video, and we are working on the Essary Family Descendants. Today we're going to focus on Ida Octavia Essary, and we have previously worked on her siblings, and so I will leave a link in the description box below for those videos if you're interested in catching up on this particular branch of the family. I have not looked at Ida Octavia too much ahead of time, and so this will be a first look. But what I can see from the Family Search profile is that she has a high quality score on her profile, which means that the data matches up with record sources pretty well, and so it can be considered fairly reliable with what we're looking at. She does have 17 sources attached. She's got one memory, which I think is probably this picture. Yes, so there is a picture of her on Family Search. So what I'm going to do in this situation is just look at the family below because we can feel reasonably confident that what we're looking at is probably correct. But I can see that we're missing a marriage event, so perhaps we can go and look for a marriage record. And if nothing else, we could estimate from the census. The 1910 census gives us some marriage information. We can also look and see if there are any missing children indicated in the census. But we're just going to do a quick scan here and we can see what is missing, the marriage information. We've got her husband's name, William, Holly, Russell, and then she's got 5 children. It looks like they're all daughters. So what I'm going to do is jump over to Ancestry and work from my Ancestry tree and go through all of the record hints there and attach them to my tree and see if there's anything that does not line up. And then we'll take a closer look at census records and see if we can't learn a little bit more about Ida Octavia. So let's jump over to my Ancestry tree. Let me make the screen bigger here. And I've got 9 record hints. I've got a birth and death date, and I think that is most likely from her Find a Grave memorial. Let's look. Yes. And we also have some family already mentioned here. So let's see. I don't have them added yet to her on the tree. So let's go through the record hints. I'll just do a quick scan and then I'll just fast forward and you'll see me on the other end of it. It looks like Ida is mentioned in a newspaper article in Fayette in 1956, but I can't read that. So I'm just gonna mark that as maybe that's her. Because in 1956, she would have had her married name, not her maiden name, probably. But let's just mark that as a maybe. All right, so then we've got census records. Census records, we've got a photo of her headstone. Oh, here's that picture again. We have a social security record, which would be for one of her children. 1940, 1920. All right, so nothing there that looks too unusual. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and attach these records and then we'll come back. Okay, I'm back and I've attached all of the record hints that were on my ancestry tree to her profile there. And now I want to look at her a little bit closer in the census records. Now, her oldest child was born about 1909, so I would expect that she would have been married by 1910. So in the 1900 census, she's still living with her parents. So you can see here she's with her father and mother, Sarah and Samuel, and some of her siblings. It says she's only 17 years old, but according to Find a Grave, her birth year was actually 1880. Hopefully we can find some other evidence of that. But so she may have been 17 to 20 years old in 1900, which is fine. And we'll just look at the 1910 census to see if it gives us any marriage information and any missing children. So let's view the image and take a closer look. I love how Ancestry highlights on the census record where the family is. So here we go. We have William H. Russell and Ida and their oldest daughter, Reffy. That might be a nickname. Says she's 1 year and 11 months old. Okay, number of years married is 4. So we could estimate that she was married, Ida was married about 1906. So we'll have to add that to the family search family tree. And then it says she has 3 children, 1 living by 1910. So let's go back. Oh, let's just, before we do that, let's take a quick look and see what kind of occupation. So her husband was a farmer. Okay, so that tracks with what we know about the family. They've all been farmers. He's almost 10 years older than she is. First marriage for both. You can see there's an M with a 1. All right, so 4 years married and 3 children, 1 living. So let's go back and look at her profile now. Now you can add a marriage to your ancestry tree, and you can do that by going to add right here on the timeline and then select an event. That will be marriage, and we could put an about. Okay, so we'll add that. We don't know where they were married. It might be safe to assume Alabama, but it doesn't say that in the census, so we can't do that. All right, so by 1910, she'd had 3 children with 1 living. So there are definitely 2 children missing here, so we need to add them. Let's come down here and we'll add family, and we don't know what the gender is on the children, so we'll just pick one and then we can unmark it to unknown. Okay, so that adds that child, and we need to add another one, so we'll do the same thing here. We should look at the 1920 census as well, because that does give us a bit more information about the family. So let's look at that one. All right, so once again, Ancestry highlights the family on the census. All right, so we have some more children here. Zella Burrell. Okay, Myrtle, she's 2 years and 11 months. And that's all we know. So again, William Haley or Haley was 10 years older. They're in a rented home. Can the Ida read and write? Yes, she can. All right. And they are farming. Okay, so we didn't learn too much more about the family makeup, but we learned a little bit. Let's go back. So let's update the family search family tree with what we found. So we did find some missing information, and then we will look and see if we can't find a marriage record for Ida. Pretty good chance she was married in Alabama, but we'll see if we can't find a marriage record for her. Okay, so we know she was married about 1906, which is a couple of years before Maryland, their oldest child, was born. So it does make sense that there could have been some children that died before Maryland, because that's a gap of 3 years. So it's possible for there to have been 3 children born in that time period. All right, so let's add the unknown children. So here, I'll make the screen bigger for family search while we're here. And we will add child. Family search prefers that you put in just the last name if you don't know, and then mark the others. Okay, so we have added those unknown children, and family search sees that as a mistake because it's a possible duplicate child. So we can dismiss those, and we'd say you need to provide a reason, and you would say that this was based on what Ida had said in the 1910 census. So we'll dismiss that. The next thing I wanted to do in this video is look for a marriage record for Ida in Alabama. So I'm going to open up another tab. We're going to do search records, and we'll open a new tab. All right, and we'll come down here to collection in the lower left corner, and we will look for Alabama marriages. And this one, 1816 to 1957, seems to be the best of the 3. So I'm going to look for William Russell. Let's do a search. All right. There's 197 results. I could try to narrow that down by putting in Ida's first name. Let's do a search. Okay. That did not bring up any results. Let's go back here. And we know the marriage took place about 1906, so we'll do a date range here and see if we can't narrow down. All right. We'll look through these. That's down to 21 results. So if they're in here, they should show up. No such luck. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we'll fast forward and I'm going to search the other two collections and then we will come back. Okay, I'm back and I struck out on those marriage record collections for Alabama. So it's possible there is not a marriage record, at least not an official government record. And so in that case, the next step would be to look for a newspaper announcement or perhaps a family Bible if one exists. And so establishing the marriage relationship then is based on the census primarily, although some of the records for her children may indicate the marriage relationship. And so we're just going to have to rely on the estimate for from the census. All right, so there's a interesting record here. Unknown census 1900. William C. Essary. That's probably incorrectly attached. Oh wait, there's an Ida Essary as a wife. Okay, that's really odd. Let's just go and look at the actual record. I think we might need to detach that. So it looks like we have a little bit of cleanup work going through the records attached to Ida. All right, let's go look. Oh, yeah, John J. Essary and Ida right above. That is her brother, Jonathan Jackson Essary, and his wife, Ida. So that is not the same Ida Essary. And let's see, we've got her father up here. Here's Ida right here. So I'm not sure. I think we probably would be pretty safe in detaching this because we have a 1900 census right here. Let's look. Yeah, so that is the one where she is 17 and attached to her father. So, although it's indexed really weird. Attached. This is attached to Julia Ida Brahm, which would be Jonathan Jackson's wife, and also attached to Ida Octavia Essary. Okay, I think this needs to be detached as well. Oh, there's a third 1900 census. Okay, that is the right one. So we have two that we need to detach. Sorry if this is really confusing because it is confusing. We're going to detach this one. And the reason is it was incorrectly attached. Okay, so things look a little bit better here now. We've got a sequential listing of census records. The other thing that I noticed by going through the census records for Ida is that her husband dies and she is a widow, I think by 1940. So let's just look at this one here. She's living with her children. Yes, widowed. And it says Ada there with an A. We could look at it closer and see if maybe that was indexed incorrectly. But she's living with her daughter, Myrtle. And then in 1950 as well, she's living with some family members. Let's see. Here's Ida Russell, 71 years old, widowed, mother-in-law. So, okay, she's with her daughter Silver and her husband. So, and then she dies in 1955. And it looks like we have, okay, this death record here is for one of her children. Let's see, Maryland. Okay. And the Nubident files would also be for her children. All right. So that pretty well takes care of those records. So while there were no great discoveries for Ida, we did do a little bit of cleanup work on her profile and we added some missing information. So we added an estimated marriage date based on the census, and we added 2 children that she said she had based on the 1910 census that had died in infancy. And so we've added those to the tree and they've been accounted for now. And it looks like that she had 7 children total, the 2 that died, and then 5 more girls. So I bet she had a busy household with all of those children. Every little bit that we do to make things better on Family Search or Ancestry adds to the story of the people that we were researching. And in this case, we learned a little bit more about Ida and added that missing information. And it is a worthwhile endeavor if we can do it. I hope that was helpful. We'll see you later.